They say some doors shouldn't be opened. In '87, Mark thought he found one in his quiet suburban basement, but what he really unearthed was a gaping maw into absolute madness. A cult, whispers of the Crimson Gate, and the agonizing price of admission that stained his hands and soul. This isn't just a story, it's a descent into the grotesque heart of suburban dread, where the fabric of family unravels into something unspeakable. You won't believe what they made him do to open the door, and what he ultimately devoured. The gate, according to the tattered scripture they showed him, demanded more than just faith, it craved agony. Not just pain, but a precise, ritualistic dismantling of the living form, each sacrifice a key, each scream a frequency to vibrate the veil between worlds. The basement, once smelling of damp concrete and forgotten toys, now reeked of iron and ozone, transformed into a shrine of vivisection, complete with rusted hooks, primitive restraints, and ancient, bone-handled tools meticulously laid out beside crimson-stained chalices. The cult leaders, their faces obscured by shadowed cowls, promised ultimate knowledge, but only through ultimate suffering. The first offering was a nightmare etched onto his retinas. A supplicant, bound and gagged, their flesh meticulously flayed, tendons severed with sickening precision. A shard of collarbone, still warm and slick, was offered to the nascent rift, which pulsed with a diseased, violet light, a silent shriek tearing at the fabric of reality itself. The air grew thick, tasting of burnt hair and copper, as the very walls seemed to weep viscous, black ichor, slowly oozing down the cracked concrete, while the victim's final, gurgling breaths vibrated through the floorboards. Mark's stomach churned, but the cult's hypnotic chants drilled into his skull. As the rift widened, so did the demands. The nourishment they offered to keep the remaining faithful alive became a grim necessity. Rich, dark, strangely metallic stews served in tarnished bowls, their aroma a perverse comfort amidst the escalating butchery. Mark's family, his wife Sarah, his kids, they started to fade. Replaced, the cult leaders assured him, by higher forms once the gate fully opened. He saw limbs, familiar limbs, among the offerings, a child's small hand, a woman's slender arm, severed with surgical brutality, placed reverently on the altar, pulsing with that same awful, unnatural light. His mind, already a shredded mess of delusion and horror, barely registered the true abomination, only the fervent, desperate belief that this was the path, the only way to salvation. Then, the final, deafening tear. The gate fully opened, not to a glorious new dimension, but to a shimmering, reflective void, showing him, gaunt, bloodshot, covered in dried grime, a shell of the man he once was. And in that reflection, the bowl he'd just emptied, the nourishment he'd craved, glinted with a macabre truth. A tiny, porcelain-white tooth, undeniably his daughter's, nestled amongst the stew's remnants, a perfectly preserved molar. Beside it, a fragment of wedding ring, embedded in gristle. The cult hadn't just taken his family for the gate, they'd ground them down and fed them to him. He hadn't opened a portal to another world. He'd devoured his own, piece by agonizing piece, under the delusion of a ritual, while their essence fueled his horrific, unwitting survival.